Another chapter was written this weekend in the Battle of Whitney Avenue. Who came out on top in the first meeting?
The men's basketball team came back to Hamden for 2 home games. Did they rise or fall in the MAC standings?
All that and more coming up on Sports Paws.
Welcome to another Monday night of Sports Paws here in the Media Suite, Studio 125. I'm Eric Kerr alongside Sports Paws associate producer Ethan Logue. Ethan, you ready to talk all things Quinnipiac athletics?
Of course, Eric. I'm always ready. Let's jump right into it. As you'll see here, Quinnipiac taking on the Yale Bulldogs in the first installment of the Battle of Whitney Avenue. We pick up action here in the first period. Early on in the first period, Yale's Hayden Rowan right away gets a shot past Quinnipiac goalie Keith Petrozelli, giving Yale the 1-0 lead, and they would hold that lead into the second period. Second period of action, Alex Whalen now has the puck, and he evens it up. Nice shot right over the glove of Yale goalie Corbin Kaspersky. It is now tied at 1. Quinnipiac teammates and fans loving that. Now we go into the third period. Quinnipiac on the attack, and they will get their first lead of the game. Joe O'Connor gets a break, unable to get the first shot in, but stashes in the second opportunity. Like I said, Quinnipiac now up 2-1 in the third. Time running down in the third and final period. Yale trying to tie, and they will. Evan Smith with a beautiful backhand shot over the glove of Keith Petrozelli. He ties the game, and you know what that means? We're going into overtime. Not too long in the overtime period, only 18 seconds in fact, a net mouth scramble in front, puck loose, and Odin Tufto stashes it in, giving Quinnipiac the 3-2 win. However, Yale would challenge for an offsides. The refs, after discussion, they came out, good goal. Quinnipiac holds on and wins the first installment of the Battle of Whitney Ave.
Statement win for them, Ethan.
Very big, important win for the Bobcats. Now, following the exciting overtime win, men's ice hockey beat reporter Steve Pappas caught up with some Quinnipiac players and coaches.
It took 60 minutes and 18 seconds for the Quinnipiac Bobcats to defeat the Yale Bulldogs here at the Whale for the 5th straight time. The Bobcats went down early, had to battle some adversity as well as giving up a goal late in this one to send it into overtime. But just 18 seconds into the overtime frame, Odin Tufto buried his 4th goal of the season. The Bobcats, like I mentioned, had to battle some adversity, and here's what Rand Pecknold had to say about how the team exactly battled that adversity.
Yeah, I mean, we've been resilient all year. You know, I thought Yale was excellent tonight, and you know, we need to be better. Again, we found a way to win, and I thought it was a pretty good college hockey game.
Yeah, I think anytime you get a late goal scored on you, it's tough. But we just tried to reset and know that we got a chance to win overtime, and we just kind of got it deep there that first shift, and got a good bounce and got the win.
The Bobcats will be back in action tomorrow night up in Providence, Rhode Island, as they take on Brown. Puck drop set for 7 p.m. From the Whale in New Haven, Connecticut, I'm Stephen Pappas, Q30 Sports.
The Bobcats then traveled south to Rhode Island to take on the Brown Bears. This went to overtime as well. The result, different. Quinnipiac was down 2-0 as it took the team until the last 3 seconds of the second period to get on the scoring board. A goal from Alex Whalen would tie the score at 2 in the third period. No team could find the net from there as the game would end in an overtime with a 2-2 tie.
Following the exciting weekend, let's see where the Bobcats line up in the ECAC standings. As you'll see, after a strong weekend, the Bobcats moved up to 3rd in the ECAC. Only Clarkson and Cornell sit above the Bobcats in the standings. Harvard fell into 4th in the ECAC, while Colgate, Rensselaer, Dartmouth, and Yale round out the top 8. It will be interesting to see how this ECAC shapes up come tournament time, Eric.
Yes, of course, Ethan. But also, not only did the men's ice hockey team rise in the conference standings, but they also moved up in the pairwise rankings. Quinnipiac jumped up from 16 to 13 after their win against Yale. The only ECAC hockey team ahead of them, Cornell, who sits as the number 3 team in the nation. North Dakota sits at the top, and Minnesota State joins them at number 2 with Cornell to round out the top 3.
We are now joined by men's ice hockey beat reporter Stephen Pappas in studio. Now, Steve, with the ECAC tournament rapidly approaching, I want to get your insight on the current standings as well as the teams you consider contenders, pretenders, and who you just can't decide on.
Yeah, so you said it perfectly. Contenders, pretenders, and really teams that you just can't get a beat on. Let's start with the contenders, who I think could not only win the ECAC Hockey Conference, but as well as maybe take the next step in the NCAA tournament. Let's start with the number 2 team in the country, the Cornell Big Red. That loss to Quinnipiac last week or 2 weeks ago was an absolute anomaly. This is a team that has been chugging on all cylinders this season, and partly because of the play of goaltender Matthew Galida, and it's something to look at from last season. The big reason this Cornell team kind of faltered off when it came to the ECAC Hockey Finals and the NCAA tournament is because they lost Matthew Galida. He's now been playing absolutely outstanding so far this season, and also you got to look at the offensive side of the puck. Rangers prospect Morgan Barons had a fantastic season offensively. Cornell Big Red, they're a big, physical, fast team to play against. It hurts to play them, and when it comes to, if you look at the NHL, some of the teams that have won in the past, it's teams that are big and physical and can really run you out of a game. The second team I got is the Clarkson Golden Knights. It's a team that we're going to see here this weekend, this Friday, when the Bobcats take them on. The Golden Knights have preached defense so far this season, and it's been really what's gotten them to where they're at in that top 10 spot in the NCAA rankings. They're a team that doesn't score a heck of a lot of goals, just 2.89 goals per game for the season. But, the loss of Jake Kailu, especially for me, I thought was going to be huge for this Clarkson team. I thought they were going to take a step back when Jake Kailu was gone. But, Frank Marotte has come in and just absolutely taken this league by storm. He has a .940 save percentage and a .167 goals against so far this season. Their penalty kill as well, 92.9% on the season, has been the best in the NCAA. My final contender, we have the Harvard Crimson. This is a team that has been very streaky so far this season. They've had some really good times. They've had some really bad times. The really bad times, they came in here when they didn't have Jack Drury, and it's hard to pick against a team like Harvard that has one of the best 19, 20-year-olds in the world in Jack Drury. And when they missed him for World Juniors, he has been the team severely struggled. They went winless in 5 games, but since then they've gotten back on pace. They had a tough loss today in the Beanpot, and they haven't really gotten back to full form. But a team coached by Ted Donato will always have my confidence tournament time. So those are the contenders that I have in the ECAC Hockey Conference. Let's go to the other side, to the pretenders, and let's start with RPI. The Engineers are a team that this season hasn't had very many convincing victories. They've played well with some good teams, but haven't been able to get over the hump against the good teams. And while they do have some good games against those really good teams, they've gotten throttled by some not-so-good teams. We look at a 5-1 loss to Merrimack early in the season. The Engineers have been carried by their goaltender, Owen Savory. In the month of January, and particularly in the last 6 games, he has had a save percentage of .984. That's absurd, and a goals per game average of half a goal a game. So this is a team that's being carried by their goaltending, and with the offense really struggling the way the Engineers have, it's really hard to put them in a place where you could see them winning the ECAC Hockey Conference. Let's go to my second pretender. I got the Colgate Raiders. We saw them a couple weeks ago as well. This is a team that's played well against some top teams this season as well, but haven't been able to win those games. They've had a lot of ties, and they've had a lot of close losses for the Raiders. They haven't really been able to take the next step. I don't trust their 2-goalie system with Andrew Ferrier and Mitch Benson. I think when you get closer to the postseason, you have to have a solid number 1 goaltender. The saying goes, if you have 2 goaltenders, then you have no goaltenders. So, plus the fact that they're not getting very much scoring. Their leading goal scorer, Bobby McMahon, has 9 goals on the season. So that comprised with the lack of goaltending stability really has me with the Raiders as a contender. My final contender is the guys right down the street in Yale, the Yale Bulldogs. I have as a pretender, and it's really confusing, this Yale team, because they have two of the best players in the world in Curtis Hall and Phil Kemp at their respective positions and in their respective ages. But this is a team that has not been able. They've squandered opportunities. Just to put it lightly, they've squandered some opportunities. Corbin Kaspersky this season, the senior goaltender, has had a disappointing senior season. He's got a save percentage just over .900, and that, especially in the ECAC Hockey Conference, will not get you a victory. And you noticed I didn't have Quinnipiac on there just yet. Let's go to the teams that I really can't get a beat on right now. We'll start right here with the Quinnipiac Bobcats. This team is just really confusing. There are games like Harvard and the Cornell game where you throttle the number 1 team 5-0. And then you have Sacred Heart, games like Sacred Heart, a tie with Brown. It's hard to kind of pinpoint where this team wants to go, and it's really hard for this team to play away from the Frank Perotti Jr. Arena. They're absolute juggernauts, 7-0 in conference at the Frank Perotti Jr. Arena this season, but I have not seen enough to be fully convinced that they could win this conference. My final team, I have the Dartmouth Big Green. They've had a ton of quality games so far this season, but haven't been able to truly get over the edge. A bad 7-1 loss versus RPI, but some good wins mixed in there with Cornell. So that is it. That is my pretenders, contenders, and teams I can't get a beat on. Back to you guys.
As always, Steve, thank you so much for your time and insight. Now, from the ice to the hardwood, the Quinnipiac men's basketball team looked to climb in the MAC standings, as well as they took on rival Iona. Jump to the highlight. As you'll see here, Quinnipiac men's basketball hosting last place Iona. Not a spot the Scales team usually finds himself in. Baker Dunleavy's Bobcats taking on interim head coach Trey Arnold's squad. Early on in the first half, Matt Blanc gets the ball, jump stop. It's good. 2 of Blanc's team leading 14 points. Still in the first half, Iona finding a way to break through Quinnipiac's interior defense. A lob to Dylan Van Eyck, who cruises in for the slam. Van Eyck says, "Watch your head" after the dunk. Iona leads 32-20 at the half. Second half now, Rich Kelly tries to get things going for the Bobcats, but he is rejected by Tehuan Agee, who volleyball spikes it into the crowd. This won't be the last time you see Agee in this highlight. Now it's E.J. Crawford sizing up Rich Kelly, working the dribble, pulls up for 3, and yeah, he got it. Crawford led Iona with 18 points on the night. Now time running out for Quinnipiac. Blanc's 3 is short. Iona gets the rebound. The long pass to Agee, who slams it home to ice this one. Kevin Marfo looks on. Bobcats drop this one 73-52 on home court to an upstart Gales team.
Well, Iona did hand Quinnipiac the loss. We'll see if they can rebound in this upcoming game against Manhattan. This will be a crucial game for the Bobcats against the Jaspers. The winner would be tied for second in the MAC. The loser would fall to 6. See Kevin Marco going up for the tip ball here as we start this basketball action into the first half. And we're going to start our first play of the game. Here's Michael Okafor with the 360 slam. Putting it down on the fast break. What a beaut there. But Quinnipiac would respond a few plays later. Rich Kelly with the great dime to Kevin Marfo for the dunk. However, Quinnipiac, their offense was just not there today. Turnover after turnover after turnover. They would have 18 turnovers committed in the first half alone. Just not really be able to get it to go for them offensively. Brandon McGuire struggling to get it to his teammates. I saw a few plays earlier. However, Tyrese Williams with his 3 at the top of the key would bang that one to end the first half. We end into the second half now. Here's Manhattan trying to run away with it. Naheem Mack hits a big 3-pointer at the top of the key. And then the alley-oop up to Paulie Polacap, putting the slam down over the taller Seth Pinckney. However, Tyrese Williams trying to get his team back in the game, hits the top of the key 3 off the screen, and then trying to take the lead of the Bobcats. Oh, can't get that one to go. Tough miss there from Williams. Marco would pick up the foul. Manhattan makes 2 free throws. Aaron Falzone trying to keep the Bobcats in this game from way downtown would tie the game up at 63. However, Tiki Green on the drive gets the basket to go to take the lead for the Jaspers. And then Aaron Falzone with a late heave down the court to try to keep him in this game. However, it would ultimately result in a loss. Final score 65-63 as Quinnipiac falls to 6th in the conference. We have more from this game as men's basketball beat reporter John Surratt provided analysis behind the loss.
25 turnovers, 34% from the field in the second half, and yet Quinnipiac men's basketball team only lost by 2 to Manhattan on Sunday. Last time these teams played, Manhattan won 69-57. Now this game, Quinnipiac struggled a lot controlling the ball, but they made crucial shots at crucial times, especially with Aaron Falzone and Tyrese Williams. And head coach Baker Dunleavy and Tyrese Williams, as I just mentioned, talked about how they've been struggling and struggled throughout this game to compete against Manhattan.
Obviously not thrilled with the way that game went and the result, but certainly, proud of our guys in the sense that they didn't quit and, just kept battling back, and to tie that game at the end shows a lot of character from our team. We have to go back to work and get better in a lot of areas, and that's okay.
Just their on ball intensity. Like they play like a weird like 2-3, then they'll match up. So it's like, and they'll pick you up full court. They don't really care like if they foul or whatever. They don't really care about that. So they'll rather just pick you up, turn you, try to speed you up like they did. That's why we had 25 turnovers.
Now, currently on a 3-game losing streak, the Quinnipiac men's basketball team won't see the court again until they play St. Peter's on the 14th. Let's see if they can stop that streak against the Peacocks on Friday. John Surratt, Q30 Sports.
All right, thank you, John. Following the homestand, let's check out where the Bobcats line up in the MAC. And as you'll see on your screen now, the Bobcats fell to 6th in the MAC, like Eric said, following back-to-back losses over the weekend. It's very close across the board, as you can see. Ryder sits atop the standings currently. However, St. Peter's is right behind them, holding the same conference record. Monmouth currently sits only a half game back on the top 2 teams. Manhattan and Siena are tied for 4th. Fairfield and Iona rounding out the top 8. Well, it's time for our first break of the night. The women's ice hockey team looked to keep their win streak going against Union and RPI.
And the women's basketball team was hot entering last week's games. Would the winning ways continue? Don't go away. And we're back for more Quinnipiac sports. Ethan, what happened with the women's ice hockey team this weekend?
Well, as a lot happened, we now head back to the ice as Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team had a busy weekend. On Friday, they took on ECAC foe Union. Bobcats looking to build off the sweep from last weekend here we are. We're starting off in the first period. Bobcats will get on the board first. Taylor House to Taylor Gerard. Gerard goes 5-hole and it just squeaks through the goalie's legs. It's the first year's 4th goal of the season. The Bobcats are up 1-0. Now Leah Hereford dangles one Bobcat, cuts inside and goes bar down. What a snipe by the first year from Union. Now we transition into the second period. A Katie Tabin stretch pass finds Taylor House and she takes it to the house. Gets her own rebound off her initial shot, taps it in and gives the Bobcats a 2-1 lead. Now staying in the second, Grace Markey finds Sari Pert in the slot and she wrists her shot home. A beautiful shot, and it will count as her 8th goal of the season, as you'll see right here. Right in between the glove, yes. Now we go into the third period. Bobcats currently up 4-1. They've built off their 3-1 lead. Katie Tabin banks a shot off a defender and into the net. 4th goal on the season for the senior captain. Still in the third period, time running down. Bobcats now up 5-2 after a Union goal. Kate Riley from the point. Beautiful slap shot, gets past the Union goalie. Now would be your final. The Bobcats win by a score of 6-2.
Not only did Quinnipiac get the win, but they also took the time to celebrate all female athletes. Connor Olathorn has more.
The Quinnipiac Bobcats beat the RPI Engineers 5-1 on Saturday night on National Girls and Women's in Sports Day. And after the game, head coach Cass Turner told us how this day affects her and her players.
It starts in who we bring into our team. You know, we want to bring young women who just have the utmost character and want to work incredibly hard to get better. And those are two really important pieces. You get people like that in your program and you bring them into a culture that now they can work together, they can help one another to grow, we can work with them and truly collaborate. You know, we talk every day about just what this environment is for the women in our team. You know, the skills that you learn in college sports, from managing successes and managing failures, how you grow from those, what you do beyond college is you're going to be so prepared. You know, those are the tangible skills that are going to help you for the rest of your life. So it was a pretty fun day, and great to have a nice crowd and be able to celebrate a pretty neat moment.
The Bobcats continued their pack weekend facing off against RPI, another ECAC foe. Quinnipiac already coming off a strong game against Union, and we will pick up action here in the first period. Bobcats with the puck. Taylor House with the pass back to Lexi Agia. Beautiful pass here, setting up a good opportunity, and Agia cashes in. Her team leading 11th goal of the season, giving Bobcats a 1-0 lead. We go into the second period. Only 52 seconds in, Laura Lundblad is able to scoop the puck up off a turnover at center ice and scores on the breakaway, going 5-hole. It's her 5th goal of the year. Bobcats now up 2-0. Good puck movement later on in the second period, as you'll see here. On the power play, Gia rips a shot, and Sadie Parrott is there to put it home on the rebound, extending the lead to 3. Now let's head into the final period. Face-off in Quinnipiac's zone, Madeline Burnett takes the shot, stopped by Abby Ives, but the second chance opportunity by Lawrence Everson finds its way home. It's now 3-1. Now off the face-off, Laura Lundblad throws the puck on net, and look at that goal. We're going to slow it down for you here so you get another chance to see this. What a shot. The crazy angle, and I would guess we'll be seeing that later.
How'd that even go in, Ethan?
And
Such
now,
a small window.
Crazy shot, and with 12 seconds left, Lundblad cashes in, completes the hat trick. The first hat trick for Quinnipiac since 2017.
The 2 wins boosted Quinnipiac up 1 spot in the ECAC women's hockey standings. They swapped places with Colgate and now stand at the 6th spot in the conference. With a record of 9-7-2, they trail by just 2 games behind 5th place Yale. Cornell, Princeton, Clarkson, and Harvard round out the top 4 remaining spots. Switching from the Frank Perotti Jr. Arena to the People's United Center, the Quinnipiac women's basketball team continued their quest for a 4th straight MAC championship. The team traveled to Monmouth to face off against the Hawks. Let's see how they did. And as you'll see, the Bobcats were able to come out on top against Monmouth. The Bobcats shot 37% from the field, while the Hawks shot 33%. The Bobcats were out-rebounded in the game 33-40, but had more steals and double the blocks compared to the Hawks. With the Monmouth victory, Quinnipiac was hot as they traveled back home after their 3-game road trip. The Bobcats had a 4-game winning streak before taking on the Siena Saints. Siena also with 4 wins in a row entering this matchup. Whose streak will end first? Let's find out. Big game here, MAC competition, as we take it right into the first quarter. Here's Shaq Edwards with the ball. Jab step right, goes left, finds DeWeese on the left side for the right-hand layup on the left side. Good finish there from DeWeese. And then more to Kenzie DeWeese later in the quarter. Nice feed from Taylor Hurd that time. She would go on to have a big game, a double-double with her for 14 points and 10 rebounds. Second quarter, here's June Ward getting in on the passing action to Taylor Hurd with the assist and the finish. And then Mackenzie DeWeese hitting these 2 free throws to end the first half, putting the Bobcats up 34-30. Now third quarter. This one was frustrating, Ethan, put it the least. Shaq Edwards trying to find DeWeese inside, but she can't get the layup to go. And then a few possessions later, Jaden Ward again missing a point-blank layup at the basket. Just up and misses left and right.
Just tough breaks for the Bobcats.
Tough breaks for the team indeed, as it cost them a chance to get back in this game. Now fourth quarter, Siena with some nice ball movement finds Ashley Williamson for the wing 3-pointer, giving Siena the 56-53 lead. And then Rachel Brown would get this bucket here to close it out. Your final 68-60. Following the weekend, let's see how the MAC stacks up on the women's basketball side. The Bobcats currently sit in 4th place in the MAC, but are only back half a game to Fairfield, who sits 3rd. Ryder and Maris sit atop the standings, and both teams have played very well in the MAC. Siena trails Quinnipiac by 2 games in the MAC. Manhattan, Iona, and Niagara round out the top 8. Okay, let's head into our last set of commercials. The women's basketball team look to climb in the MAC standings. And of course, our top 5 plays of the week. Stay tuned.
Welcome back into Studio 125. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Eric, we don't have a lot of time left, so why don't you lead us into what we have left?
Well, let's talk about men's lacrosse. Quinnipiac looked to redeem themselves in their second game of the season against UMass Lowell. It was a back-and-forth battle as the Riverhawks tied the game at 8 early in the fourth quarter. UMass Lowell would take the lead almost 9 minutes in, but Quinnipiac would respond with a goal from John DeLuch. 2 minutes later, the Riverhawks would respond yet again with another goal from Kyle LaForge. This would be the last goal of the game, resulting in a final score of 10-9. Well, Ethan, it's that time yet again. Sports Paws Top 5 Plays of the Week.
My favorite part of the show, Eric. I'll take the odds, you take the evens.
Sounds good. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's jump right into it. Play number 5, Rich Kelly passes to Kevin Marfo, who yams it in over a few Manhattan defenders. And you know what? This play was so good, we're going to show it to you again in slow motion. A beautiful pass from Kelly.
What a pretty dime, Ethan.
A nice two-hand slam from Marfo.
And play number 4, we have more slams here coming in from Elijah Buchanan to Paulie Polycap for the alley-oop. We'll give it to slow-mo once again because it was just such a nice play over the taller Seth Pinckney.
Seemed like a dunk contest
Made him look small out there, Ethan.
And we go to play number 3, women's ice hockey now versus RPI. Laura Lundblad, 3 goals from her hat trick. And like I said, first hat trick since 2017 for a Bobcat. Very impressive. And as you saw, the Bobcats held on for a 5-1 win.
She's got a bright future ahead of her, Ethan. Now play number 2, here's Michael Okafor. You saw it earlier, see it again in slow motion for the third time. Beautiful 360 finish.
The third dunk from that game. It's crazy how much it was like out there. Now we'll go to play number 1. You knew it was coming. Odin Tupto in overtime against rival Yale. That one sure excited the people here at Quinnipiac.
Ethan, he may have ice out there in the rink, but he's got ice in his veins for sure.
Definitely. All right, from the best plays last week to what's ahead. Let's check out what's on tap for the Bobcats this week.
Got some good games coming up, Ethan. As you guys can see, women's basketball has a big game going back on the road, playing Manhattan. That's going to be a tough competition there for them. And also, men's ice hockey, a big one coming up on Saturday at 7 against St. Lawrence, also with a game on Clarkson on Friday. So they got 2 home games coming up this weekend.
Men's basketball at St. Peter's Friday at 7, men's ice hockey, St. Lawrence. And we can't forget, these are just some of the games that are going on. It is a jam-packed weekend. You got lacrosse obviously starting to come up. Women's lacrosse is opening their season. Softball, baseball, they're getting their seasons underway soon. So it's a lot of stuff to pay attention to. So we got to be ready as Quinnipiac fans.
Yeah, and women's ice hockey also, too, with Clarkson on Friday. That's going to be a big game to see if they can try to raise the table up in the standings to get out from that 6th spot and try to raise their seeding a little higher into those ECAC hockey playoffs.
Big ECAC and MAC games for both the basketball and hockey teams.
Of course, Eason. And with that, our show has come to a close. Be sure to keep up with all our content on Q30TV.com/watch. And follow us on Twitter at Q30Sports for all coverage Quinnipiac athletics. For the entire sports staff and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Eric Kerr.
And I'm Ethan Logue. Have a great night, everyone.